Siomra beag.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sure Look, Sure Listen, the podcast that takes a pop at culture.
Sure look, sure listen.
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 Sure listen.
Sure look, sure listen. Ooh, we're still spooky. We're wearing out this theme like we've worn out our welcome. Sure look, Benjamin.
Yeah.
This week, we're just back. We've just flown back from the DC Fandome. So we've got all sorts of DC stuff to look at, including but not limited to the Batman trailer, the other Batman trailer, a further Batman trailer, and The Rock. The Rock is up to something as well. But not only that, Benjamin, there's also TV, because DC are catching up with the whole Marvel thing, so they're going to do a TV show about one of their famous characters. But that's not all, Benjamin, because DC aren't the only fandome in town, because I have seen, but you haven't, the new film Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Thank God for that, Michael. At least one of us had to see it. Sure, listen, Michael, if that wasn't enough for you, we'll be taking a look at bloody werewolves in pop culture, Michael. Where have all the good wolves gone?
Oh, so
Are
spooky.
werewolves even scary anymore? Oh, so spooky.
Very spooky.
Whoa.
Benjamin, you say every week if that weren't enough for you. Funnily enough, this week probably would be enough because of the DC Fandome.
So much bloody fandom, Michael.
So too much, some people would say. So let's just get right into it, Ben, with the first Batman trailer.
Go on there, Michael. Michael.
Yes.
Go on.
Okay. All right. Well, I get. Will I? It's Matt.
Yeah,
It's
go on.
Matthew Reeves, Ben. Matthew Reeves. He's doing Batman. Benjamin, I tell you what. We put it up on the Discord, and some of our good friends were looking at it, and my opinion is pretty much the same as everyone else. There's just not a lot to get excited about in this trailer, is there?
Unless you're deeply unless you just get a bat hard on every once in a while. No, there's not a whole lot to get involved in.
There's not too much to get excited about.
So here's the thing, Michael. So far,
Yes.
this doesn't have to be a Batman film
Go on.
based on the trailer. It's a vengeance film.
Yeah.
It's very clearly a fuck you crime.
Get out of here, crime. I've no time for it.
But there's nothing that's necessarily marking out as a necessary Batman film.
Well, there's the Joker, Ben.
Well, there isn't. There isn't.
No, not the Joker. The other fella.
It's
The
the
fella that's
Riddler,
like the Joker.
Michael.
The Riddler. Yeah.
The Riddler, Michael. But they're not. How do I put this, Michael?
I don't know, Benjamin. It's up to you. How do you put it?
It's just a pulp story so far, Michael. From the looks of the trailer.
It's very much, to me and to my mind, to both my mind and my mind's eye, Ben, it's just throwing me right back to Batman Begins. It's Batman Begins again.
Yeah, Batman Begins again, but this time with a bit of noir.
Yeah, Batman Begins
Lobbed in.
again, but this time with a bit of noir and a little bit of the grotesquerie from the olden day Batman.
Yeah, a classic like, oh, his face is weird, he's probably a villain.
Yeah, ugly people are definitely the villains and attractive people are the heroes.
Absolutely. Going off that trailer, Michael, absolutely. We've
Benjamin.
got one Robert Pattinson.
You got Robert Pattinson, he's a very handsome Batman. We've got one
Bloody Zoe Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz, a notoriously attractive Catwoman, Ben. And then they've hired attractive people to be the ugly characters too. This is something I don't get. Why do you get the Farreller? Is the Farreller such a good actor that you want him to be the Penguin rather than getting someone who, looks and sounds like that character rather than making it's like Jared Leto in the Gucci film.
Yes.
Why didn't they just hire an old man instead of Jared Leto?
He doesn't have to be in costume, Michael. What's
Yeah.
going on?
Why?
Was Joe Pesci busy for the Batman film?
What are they doing?
They've essentially dressed Colin Farrell up and been like, did you see Robert De Niro in anything?
Yeah, did you see Robert
Right.
De Niro in The Irishman?
Do that, but pour on a bit of bitter.
Yeah.
And see where it gets you. And then we got a weird Brooklyn Colin Farrell.
Very strange
gotcha.
choice. Very strange choice. Very strange choice to cast a face actor not using his face.
It is.
What are they
It's a
doing? What are they
strange
doing?
choice.
Yeah, but it's rain and it's realistic cities and it's a cool Batmobile. It's just, I can't say I'm excited about it though, Ben.
I did enjoy, and I'll tell you this, Michael. I did
Go on.
enjoy a little
on.
bit of bulletproof bat for no reason. I was like, that's not practical. What's he wearing? Is he wearing
practical
chain
at all.
armor? What's going
What's he
on?
wearing? What's he wearing, Ben? Why are those point blank assault rifle bullets just bouncing off him? Isn't he worried about one of them going under his cowl?
Or the large gap between chin and nose.
Very strange. Very bulletproof.
Very bulletproof, Michael. It looks like he's going to be a real scrapper, Michael.
Yeah, he's going to come up and he's going to punch you in the head.
And that's interesting. But you're right. There's not a whole lot to sink our teeth into there, Michael. I will admit, I got a little caught up in the trailer, Michael. I don't mind telling you. I got a little caught up. But, Michael, you've sobered me up. And upon reflection, you're right. There's not a whole lot to sink our teeth into. There's not a whole lot
to get involved in there, Benjamin. You probably got more involved in it than I did because you are, at the end of the day, a real bat boy.
A bat stan.
You just love Batman. You're mad for Batman. Benjamin!
Yes.
Speaking of Batman, there's another Batman film coming. This one with a little bit of the Flash in it.
This is Batman, but in the past, and also that guy is there.
Yes. Benjamin! Couple of things came to mind in this trailer. First of all, our good friend Shane, well, my friend and your nemesis Shane.
Yes.
He has a large house in the countryside, and I think he's really missed a beat by not calling it Shane Manor.
Oh yeah, that would be good. Shane, if you're out there, it's time. It's time to change the deed, but...
Time to change the name of your house to Shane Manor. Benjamin! It looks like there's two Ezra Millers going on.
It does.
Does that mean twice as many Icelandic women are going to get choked?
Almost certainly. Certainly, Michael.
That's...
Why does Ezra Miller still have a career after that event?
I don't know. He's so weird. He's such a weird guy.
He is. He's a very weird guy. I don't think
weird.
he's a good person, Michael.
He seems
slammed
a bit
that
weird.
woman into the concrete. It wasn't good, Michael.
He seems a bit strange. He seems like a strange fellow. Benjamin,
Come here to me.
are there two of them in this, or is it another fellow who looks a bit like him?
I think we're going to get... Look, Michael, my fundamental question here is this earned? Like, have we earned a multiverse Flash movie without ever having really had a Flash movie to begin with?
Benjamin, I think you are not the only one who's going to be asking that. I think the general public, once they get through Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and Spider-Man and the Multiverse of Madness, by the time this comes out in 2 years, everyone's going to be going, oh, so DC's in the multiverse?
Too many multiverses, Michael.
Too many multiple multiverses.
And as you know, the famous saying goes, too many multiverses spoil the narrative.
Spoil the broth, I think it is.
Oh, yeah, sorry. And it's usually chefs, not Flashes.
Yes,
but
yes,
still,
exactly.
I don't feel that Ezra Miller can carry a film. That's why they have Batman as the primary focus of the trailer.
And two Ezra Millers.
So they've doubled him up in hopes to make up for the lack of leading man star quality.
Exactly. You know what you need in your film? Two Ezra Millers.
The Icelandic women everywhere are shaking in their boots, Michael.
Yeah, only two of them though. All the rest are fine.
It turns out, Michael, that it's actually a sleeper slasher thriller trailer where it's like, just when you thought they were safe, Ezra found a buddy. And
Benjamin.
it's just a bunch of Icelandic women running out of Iceland. Being like,
90% of Icelandic women that I've met would kick the shit out of Ezra Miller.
I think 90% of the people you've met could kick the shit out of Ezra Miller.
Yeah. They definitely beat him up, for sure.
Not me, but, you know.
No. Well, I mean, I think that'd be a good match, actually. I think that I'd pay to see that. Ben versus Ezra Miller. Ben representing wronged Icelandic women, and Ezra Miller representing some sort of vague misogyny.
Don't they have, like, gods or something they can turn to in that
They
particular
can
occasion?
They can send Thor. Ben!
Yeah.
It's weird, though, isn't it? It's like... the whole thing looks and feels like season 4 of the Flash TV series.
It does indeed. And the other thing is, it's as you said, Batman heavy. It's you know, at the end there, he pulls the cloth off something. I'm assuming it's the bloody Batmobile.
It's the Batmobile, Ben. It's the Batmobile. It's the original Batmobile, the best one. The 1989 one.
Why wouldn't you just show that in your trailer, Michael?
Probably wasn't finished.
Because, yeah, then all we got at the end was in production.
In production, coming eventually, allegedly.
I really enjoy that where DC is like, yeah, let's have a giant fan event, right, where we get people hyped up, and then just not tell them when anything's coming out.
Because nothing's ready. Speaking of things which are not ready, Ben, we've also seen the trailer for Black Adam, which allegedly is happening.
Yeah, that film that's definitely real and not a myth. Look, this is the one that... Okay, so first of all, I hate the format that we got that presented to us in. The format was very much... I've never been part of something this big. Hang on, I'm going to have to let the dog out here to pee. I'm really sorry. Otherwise, she's going to pee everywhere, Michael, and that's going to be a disaster.
Oh, this isn't podcast banter.
This isn't podcasting.
This is
I'm
behind
really
the curtain stuff. All right, don't pause. Just keep going.
I won't. I'll just keep going. So, Michael, one of my least favourite movie hype techniques is utilised in the 4-minute teaser that we got for this, which is, do you know what, guys? I've never worked on a project this big.
Isn't he in the Fast and Furious franchise, though, Ben?
Pierce Brosnan? No.
Oh, James Bond.
Yeah, he keeps going on. He's like, I've been on 4 James Bond films, and it was blah blah. And I was like, who cares how big the movie production is?
Yeah.
Are people sitting there going, "Oh, I heard this one was big. Oh man, that's crazy, isn't it?"
Too big to fail, Ben. Like the Titanic, and like the Lehman Brothers. That's a 2007 joke for you there.
I was always gonna make a very off-color joke there, Michael, but I held myself back. But anyway, Michael, one of my least favorite tactics is, this is the biggest thing I've ever worked on, and we got so much of that crap in this thing. We got it from Pierce. We got it from all the other lads. We got it from The Rock, who's like, this is my passion project. This is what I really care about. Nobody cares, lads. Show us the teaser. Show us the teaser. The teaser was actually fun because
he did a Shazam on someone.
I suppose, Michael, if Shazam had been more successful, right, and had built up,
it was pretty successful.
Yeah, but what I mean in the sense is that if it had kind of a cultural impact or a landmark, you could have had a really nice play on the Shazam scene where he kind of descends and is a good guy, and then you get this Shazam, Black Adam, who's like, I'm gonna fry you, and it's like. Yeah.
I think we might get that though, because isn't the whole point of Black Adam that he's a failed Shazam? I
think the whole point of Black Adam is that he's an overzealous. He's an overzealous Shazam. I think theoretically he's just a giant dictator in waiting. I mean, that's what he is in the comics. I don't know.
He's the Scorpion King, Ben.
He's the Scorpion King, Michael, but now he has a hood.
Yeah, Benjamin, speaking of half-formed trailers, we also got half-formed trailers for Aquaman, What Else Is Going On Under the Sea, and Shazam. There's more Shazam. How many Shazams are there? I can't think of humorous names for either of them.
So Michael, in terms of Shazam 2 Electric Boogaloo, which is the most appropriate use of that joke I think I've ever made.
Probably, yeah, because he's always doing electricity.
Yeah, absolutely. So finally, fitting, I can put it to rest now. It's over. But they seem to have gone darker.
Yeah, always go darker on the second film, Ben.
But they're DC, Michael. They don't learn. You don't go dark with DC because it just doesn't work.
They never learn, Ben. Learning isn't what the point of DC Fandome.
What's the point then?
Just keep chugging away, making the same mistakes over and over again. It's an annual celebration of just keep chugging away, making the same mistakes over and over again.
Repeat your errors.
Yes, just keep repeating them until they come full circle and come good. Benjamin, Helen Mirren will be in anything these days, won't she?
She will. She'll just... But why not, Michael? Why not, Michael?
I would.
You're one of the icons of British, stage and screen, and you've done all the good stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's Dame Helen Mirren, right? You can't touch that, right? And then why not just say, yeah, I'll do that project. Yeah, I'll do that project. Yeah, I'll do that project.
I'll be in any Shazams or Fasts and Furiouses that you want me to be in.
She's in the Fast and Furious, Michael. Why is she there?
She's in it. She's Jason Sherlock's dad. No, Jason Statham's mum.
Noted Dublin GA player Jason Sherlock's man.
Little local reference for you there for the international listeners. Benjamin! Lucy Liu's in it as well. She's in it and she's not even talking in the trailer.
Why would she? Sure, we didn't even get to see Dwayne The Rock Johnson in costume in the Shazam trailer, Michael, or in the Black Adam trailer, Michael.
Yes, we did.
You don't. You get to see him covered in the thing, and you barely get to see his face. They pull out before he does the big face reveal.
That combination of words is going to get us into trouble with some sort of automatic censor, Ben.
Why? What did I say?
You said pull out before you do the big face reveal. That's
okay. Yeah, no.
We're definitely going to get auto-struck by YouTube
We're going to get
subtitles
flagged.
now.
I tell you one thing that I'm very excited for from DC Fandome, though.
Go on.
We got bloody John Cena.
That's the most interesting one, Ben. Because A, it's the most fully formed.
Yes.
B, it seems to have its own identity. It seems to have
Very
an
much so.
identity, a fully formed identity that doesn't need talking heads saying, oh, this is going to be great. It's just, here it is, look, it's good. Here's some of the jokes. Hopefully not all of the jokes.
Hopefully not. No, I don't. But I don't think so. I think we're going to have a fairly on the nose. Isn't America great? No, you don't. And we're probably going to go through that a little bit. But it's Michael. They made the right decision there. They're like, we have one of arguably the most charismatic WWE performers of all time,
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
No, you would think, but no. John Cena. And why don't we just let him do all the work instead of having a bunch of people sit around and say, oh God, this is going to be bloody brilliant.
It's going to be brilliant. I'm Pierce Brosnan and I think this is going to be brilliant. I don't know if I'm in it or not. I'm starting to go a bit senile, but it's probably going to be good.
Oh, it's probably going to be class, lads. Probably going to be class. So, in that particular case, Michael, it's, it's just going to be better, I think. I think we got to see characters return from Suicide Squad. The little handler squad is made up of people that we've already met.
Yes.
And then John Cena's bloody in it. Who doesn't love John Cena? Are we going to get a little? Are we going to get a little Deadpool parody in Vigilante?
Do you think that's what's going on? It's hard. One of the things that really is tricky about DC is how close all of these characters are to the versions that have been on TV for the last 5 years. Because Vigilante has been in Arrow.
Has he?
Yeah, and Supergirl, I think.
I didn't know that.
In practically the same costume. But it's interesting that we're not seeing any face.
Do you think it's Ryan Reynolds?
I think there's going to be some sort of twist. There's going to be a twist.
His
then.
first DC cameo.
There's going to be a twist.
Who could it be, Michael? Is it Joel Kinnaman? Kinnaman?
That'd be good. He's too small. Benjamin, I like the Eagle. The Eagle is my favourite character.
Eagly, yeah. So we did get a little teaser about a week and a bit ago, Michael, that we missed on this here Pop Culture Podcast. Shame on us. Shame on us.
That's what it's called, is it? The podcast Shame on Us?
No, that's Shane on Us, and it's a podcast where Shane does reviews of this podcast and just says that we're terrible.
Yeah, scathing.
Scathing, Michael. Scathing reviews from Shane. So we got a little teaser where he meets his handler team in a diner, and they make fun of the way he names his bird, which is Eagly. His name is Eagly.
Eagly the Eagle.
Yeah, and they make fun of him. They're like, "That's a terrible name." He's like, "You're just jealous you don't have an eagle." And I'm inclined to agree with John Cena. They're probably just jealous they don't have an eagle.
I didn't actually see John Cena in the trailer at all. He's very easy to miss.
Very easy to miss, Michael. It's his whole shtick.
You see what I've done? I've done a WWE joke. Ben, was there anything else from the Fandome that was worth talking about?
Oh, I don't think so, Michael.
We saw the trailer for Suicide Squad fights against the Justice League, but, we'll see. We'll probably won't even look at that, to be honest.
That's a video game, Michael.
It's a video game. It's coming out and they're going to be fighting the Justice League. They'll probably lose if they try and fight the Justice League, because there's only 4 of them, Ben, and they don't really have superpowers.
They're just a bunch of schlubs.
Yeah, 4 schlubby boys. Benjamin!
Yeah.
Speaking of not learning a lesson and just repeating all of the same mistakes again, guess what I went to see the other day?
What did you go to see the other day, Michael?
I went to see, Ben, the film Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Is it called Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, or is it just called Venom, Let There Be Carnage?
I think it's called Venom, Let There Be Carnage, but it wouldn't shock me if they came up with a clunker like Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage.
Venom, Let There Be Carnage 2. Wait, what? Venom, Let There Be... Yes. Venom, Let There Be the number 2 Carnage.
Yeah, that sounds about right, isn't it?
Now, Ben, I'll tell you what, I went to see it. I made the unusual choice of going to see it in a matinee, Ben.
Excuse me, Michael, a matinee?
A matinee in the afternoon, in the middle of the afternoon. It's about 1:15 on a Saturday, Ben. And probably the most amusing thing about the whole film is entirely unrelated to the film, but I'm going to tell you anyway, Benjamin. It was full of families and dads with toddlers.
Oh, no.
So I went in, Ben. I went in with our good friend Shane, and we said to ourselves, these children are going to be scared fucking shitless by this film. Because it's 15s. It's 15s, and it's about big grobbly monster men who want to eat your brains.
And serial killer boys.
And serial killer boys, and scary women with a one buggly eye. And I tell you what, Ben, the kids getting freaked out and having to leave were fun and more enjoyable than the film, that's for sure.
Oh,
yes.
You got to snack on some delectable childhood trauma there, Michael, for your matinee.
We got to see some children experiencing their first bit of childhood trauma. Benjamin, I think my favourite line was, "Please, Daddy, take me home. Please don't make me watch it."
That was actually Shane talking to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was the first time I've ever heard "Daddy, please take me home" and thought it was funny rather than exciting.
Oh, Mick. Shame on you.
No, it's a good joke. Benjamin. Yeah, it's not for kids, first of all. It's not for kids.
Okay.
It's not
Fair
for
enough.
kids. You don't take kids to it. It's ill-advised to take kids to it. Because it is a big grubbly monster movie. Ben, did you like the first one?
Not particularly. I can't say
Ah,
it
then
grabbed me in any great sense.
You probably won't like this one either then, because they're about the same.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's perhaps the most criminal thing. So, Ben, there's Venom. There's Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
And he's down on his luck, and, Venom is in him, and Venom wants to fight baddies, but he wants to just live a normal life of a Hollywood reporter. And for some reason, Ben, and this is never addressed, but for some reason Cletus Cassidy is obsessed with him.
And it's never addressed.
Never addressed. And Cletus Cassidy manages to give Eddie Brock a little bite, Ben.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And when he gives him a little bite, he gets some of his blood, and then he has a symbiote as well.
Oh, goodness, look at that there now.
Yeah, and then for some reason that symbiote wants to kill Venom. Why, Ben? It's never addressed. Don't worry about it.
What do you mean it's never addressed?
It's never addressed,
These are
Ben.
crucial plot points.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. And Benjamin, Cletus' girlfriend when they were young and in the mental institute. And he thinks she's dead. And it turns out she's not dead, he finds out. So he wants to go and
get out of town.
He wants to go and rescue her, Ben, and then have a wedding and then kill Eddie Brock and Venom. Here's a little twist though, Ben. His girlfriend from when they were in the mental institute together, she has sonic screaming powers.
That's not good for symbiotes.
No, it's not great for symbiotes, Ben. Why does she have sonic screaming powers? Don't worry, it's never addressed.
Michael, should this film be called Venom 2? Don't worry, it's never addressed.
Don't worry, it's never addressed. Benjamin, I feel that this was a
Yes.
3-hour movie that got cut down to a 90-minute movie.
I mean... do you know what, Michael? I wanted it to be good.
Yeah, it's not.
This is very disappointing.
It's not good. There are some good moments, Ben.
Okay, go on. Are we doing full spoilers?
Well, okay, let's go into full spoilers.
Full old spoilers now.
Full spoilers, Ben. We're going to full spoilers now. Because it's 15s, Ben, I think, there is a bit of salty language, and almost all of the salty language comes from Venom and is quite funny.
Oh, well, that's something.
Because it's Tom Hardy talking to an imaginary voice in his head, and the imaginary voice in his head is quite aggressive and salty and humorous.
It's Tom Hardy.
It's Tom... Did I say Tom Holland?
No, you said Tom Hardy.
Did I?
No, as
Yeah,
in it's the voice in his head is Tom
Yeah,
Hardy.
there are two Tom Hardys. Two Tom Hardys having an argument, and one of them's a bit salty, and that's humorous, Benjamin. For example, Ben, there's a scene which is spoiled in the trailers where they're having their final showdown. Because Venom and Carnage only meet once in this, Ben, believe it or not.
Get fucked.
I won't, but yeah, it's no use. So they only meet once, and the only time they meet is their fight. There's no development of the bond between them, or what they mean to each other, or why Venom. Why does Carnage want to kill Venom? Don't worry, Ben. It's never developed.
What in God's name were they thinking?
I don't know, Benjamin. I think it's a 3-hour film that got cut down to 90 minutes. So
Oh, boo.
there's a scene in the trailer, Ben, where Venom sees Carnage for the first time and says, and he's getting ready to go and fight him, and then he sees Carnage and says, "No, it's a red one," and then hides.
Yeah, and so I was just about to ask you about that. What's the deal?
Oh, don't worry, Ben. It's never revealed.
Oh,
It's never revealed. We don't know what's special about a red one. Why is a red one more worrying? He doesn't say.
They're obviously, because I wouldn't even mind, right, Michael? But you've been handed the perfect opportunity to address that by the first film, where it's made clear that there's a weird caste system going on in the symbiote world, where color matters. Okay, and that's not what we're saying here on this podcast, Michael, because the true line of this podcast has never been color matters.
No, that would be a bit
But
racist,
in the Venom
then.
universe, in the symbiote world, color matters.
Yeah,
It's a whole thing.
Except it doesn't. There's no need to explain it. And there's lots of weird. But there is a great joke where Venom says to Eddie, he says, Eddie finally convinces him, "Okay, come on, I know it's a red one, but we'll eat them. We'll eat their brains if we win. And come on, we can do it." And Venom then goes back over Eddie's face and says, "Okay, time to die." And Eddie says, "That's the spirit." And Venom says, "No, I mean us. We're going to die." And there are moments like that which are quite funny and quite well delivered by two Tom Hardys. But they're
By two Tom Hardys. Much better than two Ezra Millers.
Yes, yeah. Very few Icelandic women get choked in it. That's good. It's full of moments like that, Ben. There's during the climactic battle. So we're going to go full spoilers here. During the climactic battle, it appears as though Carnage's girlfriend is having a change of heart. But it also appears as though whatever might have caused her to have a change of heart has been cut out of the edit.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
You know, that classic kind of thing. One of my biggest problems with it, Ben, is it's a misunderstanding of Venom and Carnage as characters. Because Venom, Ben, as you well know, Venom's powers in the comic books are basically bigger, stronger Spider-Man.
Yes, because he based his genetic structure on Spooderman.
So he's swinging around on webs, he's sticking to walls, he's doing a flip and a kick, and every now and then he'll do something globby with the tentacles, but not every time. Like most of the time, he's just a bigger, stronger, faster Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's the deal.
And that's the threat to Spider-Man, and that's what makes him interesting. In some ways, I mean, Ben, no great fans of the hero just fighting a dark, bigger version of themselves.
It's lazy writing, Michael. It's a step down from Big Grey Monster Man.
Exactly. It's practically the same thing, except it's an evil version of themselves. And Carnage, Ben, in the comic books, of which you are an avid reader and collector, is generally smaller than Venom, first of all.
He's a slim boy.
He's a little tiny, skinny, little gross fella.
Yeah.
And he leans a little bit less on the Spider-Man powers. He still has them, but he's not really using them as much. He's more about tendrils and blades and hooks and all that sort of gross stuff.
Yeah, so 100%, like visually speaking, Venom sticks very close to the Power Man set, whereas Carnage is its own beast, and he's a much more powerful version of Venom in the comics.
Because he's got all the tendrils and the hooks and the blades and all that sort of stuff.
He's stronger than him in general, and he has like big shape-50 powers, and he can make a blade and cut you up, and that's the whole thing.
And one of the whole points of Carnage is that he takes Spider-Man and Venom to stand a chance against him.
Yes, there has to be a team up.
Exactly. But in this, Ben, he's just a bigger, globbier version of Venom again.
Boo.
Because Venom's already doing the globs. He's already doing tendrils and stuff. So when Carnage is doing it, and I think the worst mistake they could have made was making him bigger.
Is he bigger
He's
again?
way bigger. He's like nearly twice as big as Venom.
So it's just Riz Ahmed again.
It's just Riz Ahmed again. It's Riz Ahmed, but it's not Riz Ahmed. It's Woody Harrelson from Natural Born Killers.
And what's Woody Harrelson like? Is he any good?
Have you ever seen Natural Born Killers?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, he's that.
Stuff. Oh.
It's just
That's
such
so
a waste. It's such a waste.
Come here to me. What's Andy Serkis doing it?
He's directing.
Oh, he's the boss.
He's saying, all right, everybody stand over there, and Tom, you do an angry face now.
I was very confused because I saw an interview on Wired magazine, Michael, with him and bloody Tom Hardy, and I was like, I didn't know Andy Serkis was in Venom 2, not Electric Boogaloo.
No. big globbly men. Benjamin, I would be very surprised if Andy Serkis wasn't on set doing the voice of Venom. And then they redubbed it later with Tom Hardy to give Tom Hardy something to work with. But
yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
yeah, it's all just feels like a bit of a wasted opportunity. I mean, the whole Carnage storyline takes place essentially over an evening. And, you know, I'm kind of all for... if Venom as a character is tied to Spider-Man and his motivation comes from Spider-Man, I'm kind of all for the idea of Carnage as an accidental offspring that essentially has nothing to do with him.
Yeah, okay.
But because Venom isn't tied to Spider-Man in this, because Venom doesn't really have a motivation, then they had to tie Carnage to Venom in the same way that the original should have tied Venom to Spider-Man. So you have Cletus Cassidy who's obsessed with Eddie Brock rather than Eddie Brock being obsessed with Peter Parker. And you have Carnage being obsessed with killing Venom. But neither is ever justified or explained or...
doesn't make any sense. Because it is given justification in the comics, Michael. It's an offspring thing. It's like baby spiders devouring the mother, or, you know, for something like that. In the symbiote world, if you spawn, the spawn tries to kill you. That's the whole thing, because that's what they are. It's how symbiotes reproduce in the comics. They create offshoot symbiotes, and that's their child essentially, or their offspring, or whatever you want to call it. It's
very interesting that you've used the word spawn 3 times in that sentence, because this feels every inch like Spawn, the movie Spawn. There's
good.
Tentacles everywhere. There's people climbing up cathedrals in the dark. It's very 90s. It's very late 90s.
Is his love interest still in it?
She's in it, yeah. She's in it. She's back doing kind of helping a little bit, basically. It's very short, which is good. It was good for the
trauma. An hour and 30 minutes.
An hour and 30 minutes, which was great for the traumatized children. There were some children, Ben, who were a little bit too young to be scared by it.
They were just like, this is weird.
And they were just saying, Daddy, what's he doing now? And then Daddy was going, well, how do I explain it? Cletus is obsessed with Eddie. And then the children go, why? And the dad goes, well, if you... Just watch. We'll find out. Tell you what, Ben, we don't find out.
Never found out.
Those toddlers, they were onto a winner there. They're like, but why, Daddy? Why is he obsessed with Eddie? And the dad was like, don't know. Just watch it. Just be quiet. Watch the
screenwriter's worst nightmare, Michael. The question why.
Why? He's just a big tornado of globblies. That's what you're watching. Wasted opportunity, Ben. Absolute wasted opportunity. The only thing of note about it is the post-credits scene, which I assume you've already seen.
I haven't bothered, Michael.
Do you want to hear it, Ben? This is where things could potentially go wrong. Mega spoilers now. In the post-credits scene, Benjamin, for this film, I might be sounding like I'm being too harsh here, by the way. I kind of enjoyed myself. It was an interesting experience. It was the most interesting thing about it were the horrified screams of the children who shouldn't have been there. That's
very worrying, Michael.
Yeah, they shouldn't. I don't know why they're letting toddlers in, Ben. Why are you letting 3-year-olds in to see Venom 2?
I guarantee you those fathers were sent with their kids to watch Paw Patrol 6. Big Pup in the Little City or Little Pup in the Big City. It doesn't matter which one it is. And they were just like, yeah, we'll go see that. I promise. And then they went in, they were like, I'm not fucking watching Paw Patrol.
No, we'll go see Venom 2. That's a Spider-Man thing, isn't it? That'll be fine.
Kids like Spider-Man.
Kids like Spider-Man. Don't think kids like Spider-Man turn into a big red murder tornado and biting people's heads off.
But that's entirely possible, because there are so many Spider-Man kids cartoons, Michael, that kids can watch, and Venom's a character in those. So I'm sure parents are forced to kind of, by sheer osmosis of being in the room, sometimes they're like, oh yeah, Venom, okay, evil Spider-Man, so we'll go see that. We'll go see a Spider-Man thing.
Yeah, we'll go see a Spider-Man thing. Yeah, and they've seen him in Marvel Superhero Hour or whatever it's called, where he's this little chibi guy and he's like, oh, I'm a bit evil. And then you have this
I'm a bit evil.
Shrieking tornado of murder in Carnage, just killing people, and kids going, ah, this is terrifying.
This is great, is it?
Don't take your kids to it. They shouldn't see it. Ben, in the post-credit scene, Eddie and Venom, they're relaxing on a bed, And Venom
Oh, yeah.
says, "Oh, you don't know what us symbiotes have been through. We've been through a lot across dimensions, across time and space, across universes."
No.
And then Venom says, "Here, let me show you." And as he does that, Ben, some sort of wave passes over the room, and he ends up somewhere completely different. And Venom says, "What's this? What just happened?" That's actually a pretty good Venom voice, by the way.
That was a great Venom.
that was pretty spot on. And Venom says, "What is it? What just happened?" And then the TV is on the background, Ben, and on the TV is the scene, the ending scene from Spider-Man Homecoming. No, Far From Home. No, what's it called? What was that one called? The most recent one.
Far From Home.
Was it Far From Home? Yes, it was.
Yeah, because he was in Europe, remember?
And Venom looks at the screen and goes, "Oh, I hate that guy." But
what?
But what has happened? Have they? And I'll tell you what has happened, Ben. They've tried to sideways move Venom into the MCU, and explain his obsession with Spider-Man away, in that the symbiotes are a hive mind. So some other past symbiote or different alternate universe symbiote is obsessed with Spider-Man. So this Venom is also obsessed with him.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You're not having it, Ben.
No.
Well, you have to have it
No.
because that's what's going on. And you can just start looking forward to Morbius.
I don't like Jared Leto. I don't want to support his career. I don't think the man should have one.
It's better than Ezra Miller.
No, actually, I think he might be worse. I think him and Ezra Miller are probably good mates.
They should be in a film together where they play The Flash and Michael Morbius and they both fall in a bin and someone just puts a big brick on top of the bin. That'd be good. They're like, we're stuck in the bin.
We're stuck in the bin.
And Ezra Miller's like, use method acting to get us out, Jared.
That's
just method act as Oscar the Grouch and we'll find a way out of here.
That's very disappointing as an end credit sequence, Michael.
Very strange, Ben. Clearly written by people who don't know what's going to happen. They only know about as much as we do. So they've gone, oh, well, is this the hive mind symbiote mind? Has Doctor Strange done something? Is this unrelated? It's vague enough that they can kind of say anything.
I don't like it.
But Venom's in the MCU now.
How are they going to fit Tom Hardy's weird acting choices into the MCU? How is that going to...
I would kind of like that, to be honest. One of the things I like about this series is how gross and horrible and twitchy and weird Eddie Brock is.
He's very weird and twitchy. He's a weird guy.
He's a weird, twitchy, horrible, sweaty, smelly looking guy. And I like that about him. I like that he hasn't gone all... Like, look at Bruce Banner. He's just the epitome of cool when he's not the Hulk.
Yeah.
He's the epitome of kind of slightly nerdy, cool dad. He's like, hey, I'm Bruce Banner. Look at me. I'm so sexy. Don't worry about my other person.
I'm so socially awkward.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
Yeah. Have you seen Black Widow? She's into me because I'm on the edge. I'm on the edge and all the time. Anything could happen at any minute. But I'm also pretty chill and laid back and nicely groomed. And then you have Tom Hardy coming in going...
Out Bruce Banner. He's the most chilled out Bruce Banner I've ever seen. He's just like the scrant.
I'm Tom Hardy, man. It's gross. Anyway, that's enough of that. What are we doing? What are we doing this week?
Speaking of wasted opportunities, Michael.
Very good.
This week, we're taking a look at a fundamental question. Where have all the good wolves gone?
Oh.
Michael, it's Spooktober here.
Spookoween.
Spookoween. And we've been taking a look at some horror topics. On the very first week of this little series of ours, we had Dr. Stephen J. Cadwell explain to us why video games are the best kind of vehicle for horror in the modern era. And then in week number 2, we took a look at hell in the inner city, blaxploitation, and big scary urban myths, that kind of thing. So this week, Michael, we're going to be taking a look at the werewolf. And one of the things that we've noticed, Michael, in pop culture of late is that werewolves aren't really that scary anymore.
Because they're cool and sexy now.
They're cool and sexy now, Michael. And I want to know if that's a giant wasted opportunity. Spoiler alert, it kind of is.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I went digging around, Michael, to have a look at this. I've looked at 2 of the most recent werewolf movies that we have. So you'll be getting mini reviews of Werewolves Within and The Wolf of Snow Hollow.
I watched The Wolf of Snow Hollow too. Yeah. We should probably coordinate this better.
We probably should, yeah. So I watched the Wolf of Snow Hollow for that, and there's good reason for that. I've done quite a bit of research into this topic, Michael. So if we look, right?
Yes.
All the way back
to the olden times.
Early werewolves in Gothic horror. Okay, and we've talked about Gothic horror before, Michael, on this little mini-series. We talked about, big spooky mansions and, we are destitute, we should move to the old family manor. My wife's not having the best of times. Ooh, spooky, scary ghosts. I hope that doesn't affect her. And then it inevitably does. But Gothic horror also has other themes within it, Michael, other than, the sins of the past and generational trauma and all these fun little things.
Ghosts.
Didn't have a name then. Ghosts. But we also had a couple of different narratives, Michael, like, a werewolf. Oh, look at that big bloody wolf over there. Oh, that's very scary.
Oh, I hope he doesn't do a murder on someone.
Now, werewolves, Michael, have a mythological origin. They're quite similar to vampires in terms of every culture seems to have their own version of a werewolf. If you'd like a little Irish tidbit, what we call them in Irish, Michael, is cunrucht.
Oh.
And cunrucht are kind of warrior wolves from back in the day. And yes, they're an interesting little subset of Irish mythology. And there's little hints from different cultures as to how they happen, how they occur. In a lot of kind of Central American and South American mythology, they are seventh sons of seventh sons. So the seventh child born in a lineage is a werewolf, and it's all spooky and scary. If you go further into Northern America and Native American mythology, you run into the skinwalker myth, which is no good. Skinwalkers are demonic shapeshifters that have kind of given up their humanity in a really nasty way. And that ties a little bit in with the Wendigo myth. But all around the world, Michael, we get different versions in different cultures. And then slowly the concept of the Western werewolf kind of emerged in English fiction. And what we got was a beast. And fundamentally, that's what a werewolf is. It's a big, scary beast with little or no control. Okay? And in the traditional myths, Michael, you only had to deal with a werewolf once a month. Okay? You had your full moon, out came the werewolf, rah, rah, rah. Oh no, I've killed somebody. You transform back into a human and go, what have I done?
Oh.
Why don't I remember? So you'd have this big dramatic kind of creature. And that's fundamentally how that narrative went along until the 1970s. So you would have your werewolf. Generally, they would transform and unleash their inner beast.
Yes, like John Cena.
The beast would go off and do, yes, John Cena, do. They would go off, do a ton of damage, Michael. And then the person would wake up with little to no memory of the event.
Yeah, no.
So what we used to get, Michael, in werewolf format was you would have a narrative of someone who was describing their affliction of lycanthropy, and then they would generally black out, and in their next journal entry they would say, "It's happened again, dear reader. I've transformed and devoured." So the original werewolf, Michael, is characterized by an absolute loss of control, a complete savagery. That would come to embody lots of themes that were being discussed at the time. Man versus nature, the loss of connection between man and nature, this kind of thing. And what it came to symbolize was werewolves are a manifestation of the primordial, primal past that humanity is striving to move away from. And when those two things come into conflict in a modern context, terrible things happen.
Terrible things, Ben. You can't civilize the beast.
You can't civilize the beast, Michael. And that's probably best exemplified by those older kind of horror films like The Wolfman and stuff like that. He's an uncontrollable beast. He doesn't really have a lot of choices. He's just out there to rip people to shreds and give them a go. And if you're looking for a more modern example of that, Dr. Stephen J. Cadwell has mentioned it a few times on this podcast. It's the BBC Three series, Being Human.
Oh, where that nerd is a werewolf.
Yeah, a ghost, a vampire, and a werewolf cohabit together in Brighton, I think.
And a mummy.
In the UK. No, there's no mummy.
And a seaman.
Nope, there's no seaman.
I thought I saw some seamen.
Nope. Oh. That's it from us this week. Don't
joke.
hop up on the Discord.
Hop up on it.
I think it's going to be nasty.
There's all sorts of gross jokes.
So, in Being Human, George is the werewolf, that's his name, and he's a very mild-mannered young man, but once a month, Michael, he chains himself up in the basement because he loses all control, doesn't have a lot of memory, and he turns into a big, painful beast, and he tries to kill everybody.
Like Oz in Buffy.
Like Oz and Buffy, exactly. Another classic example of a modern classic werewolf, if you want. Okay? Now, Michael, what happens then is we get a kind of a cultural shift.
Go on.
That occurs. So in the 1960s,
everyone was taking drugs.
We saw everyone was taking drugs, Michael.
Free love.
And we saw a shift away from the individualist American myth. So that is to say the idea that, you know, you can make something of yourself. You do the old bootstrap pulling, as the Republicans like to refer to it, Michael. You pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You can carve your own destiny, manifest destiny. All these strange kind of concepts that we had. Yes?
Republicans don't say pull yourself up by your bootstraps. They say up the rah.
Ah, yes. Well, that's a very different kind.
I think you're mixing your Republicans up.
I'm mixing my Republicans up. But generally, Michael, there was a narrative in the 40s and 50s of being a self-made man again. You know, the American dream was in full effect. Then we got the 60s, Michael.
Yes.
And we got very much branching into hippiedom and, you know, communal sharing and society and making it better and working together and
stuff.
All of these kinds of things came out. Butt stuff. Butt stuff was made famous in the 60s. You're absolutely right,
yes.
Michael.
Yeah.
And then in the 70s we saw that pushed a little bit further and the hippiedom kind of, but during that process the werewolf myth goes through its own kind of transformation.
What did you say there? You said then we saw it push further and
okay, I just lost the track of my own mouth there. Sorry. We saw the werewolf myth kind of push through a brand new transformation.
Oh, very good.
You'll excuse the transformation
very clever.
with the werewolf myth.
Very clever.
But what we see, Michael, is the emergence of a werewolf with consciousness. So if the traditional werewolf is characterized by a complete loss of control, almost like the human mind dying and then coming back at the end of each transformation,
yes,
and being replaced wholesale by something. What we see then is the emergence of werewolf with a conscience, or werewolf with a drive, or werewolf with goals. This kind of concept of it. And what we see in that, Michael, is the emergence of the new sexy werewolves that we're forced to consume on an almost daily basis. So one of my favorite tropes in a lot of fiction is, especially when we're doing like crossover werewolves and zombies and everything inhabiting in the same universe, one of my favorite tropes is that, oh, you really don't want to fuck with werewolves. Werewolves are the thing you don't fuck with. Like, werewolves are a big threat in some of these narratives. Things like Dylan Dog or Being Human or something like this. Like, werewolves are the uncontrollable beast that nobody can get a hold on.
Ben, are we going to talk about Underworld?
Oh, yes, we are.
Oh, how exciting.
Yes, we are. So, there you go. You've hit the nail on the head, Michael. You've transitioned me into Underworld. Underworld is a perfect example of this. You have the civil kind of civilized vampire aristocracy, and like, well, we're the overlords.
Oh,
we're the
hello.
masters,
I'm Bill Nighy, and we're all very British vampires.
And there's a serious colonial narrative running through Underworld, Michael, where vampires are very much the British Empire, and werewolves are very much the slaves that they've, bred to be submissive, and they've watered down the werewolf gene so that they're still strong and they're good laborers, but they're nothing like the werewolves of old.
But then they're not having it anymore, Ben, because here comes Tony Blair and he's a werewolf and he's had enough of it.
Here comes bloody Tony Blair, Michael, and he's like, nah, no thanks, lads. No thanks.
Should we point out that it's Michael Sheen and he played Tony Blair, or is that clear enough?
Bloody Michael Sheen.
Yeah, he's a vampire. No,
he
a
did
werewolf.
Loads of those films.
Yeah, he's all sorts of werewolves.
Loads of them.
Yeah, he's all sorts of werewolves. He's any werewolf you want.
He did a straight to DVD one.
Oh yeah.
For Underworld.
No, I don't think that was straight to DVD. Underworld Origins, is that what it's called?
I'm not sure.
With Rona Mitra, that one I definitely saw that in the cinema, Ben. I can guarantee you that.
Fair enough.
Benjamin,
Yeah.
Little side note about Underworld
Yeah.
and werewolves. Do you know that Underworld and werewolves, Ben, invented the running super fast technology that Marvel used for Captain America and Black Panther and Bucky and
I did not know that.
all of their running very fast characters? That technology was invented to have Michael Sheen chasing the car that Kate Beckinsale is driving in Underworld. They basically, Ben, tow 80 foot of carpet behind the car, and Michael Sheen is running along the carpet, and the car is pulling the carpet, so he's able to catch up.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's one of the best special effects of all time. Comes from Underworld.
There you go.
Hmm.
There you go. Werewolves just shaping the narrative.
Yeah.
Since God knows when.
The other one, Ben, where it's that is very much Van Helsing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's the same plot.
It's the big threat to Dracula, isn't it? The werewolf is the only thing that can take Dracula on. And if he doesn't have a wolf man on a chain, then what use is it to anybody?
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's gonna kill everybody, Michael. That's what it
they're
does. It's gonna kill everybody.
uncontrolled beasts.
Yeah, uncontrollable beasts. So that narrative shifts in a completely opposite direction from the 1970s onwards, Michael. We start to get the werewolf with consciousness, the werewolf who knows who they are, the werewolf that gets to inhabit like a stronger form. It's almost like a superpower.
Yeah.
It transitions from a curse, very much a curse, and something that you don't want, to, I'm just actually really strong and buff.
Yeah, I'm really strong and buff and hairy, and some chicks are into it. Benjamin,
Yeah.
like John Talbot in the Darkstalkers video game.
Yes, I suppose.
Yeah, he's a wolf man, and he's doing all sorts of kicks.
He's got a flip. He's got a kick.
He's doing flips and kicks.
I mean, the ultimate death of the wolf man, I think, in American culture, Michael, is Teen Wolf.
Go on.
With Michael J. Fox, I think that's the ultimate sanitizing of the werewolf myth, where he's just like, oh, look at me, guys, I'm still human shaped, I'm still a little human guy, I just got big furry bits on me.
Hey, I'm like the Fonz, but I'm a wolf.
But I'm a wolf.
I'm wearing my
that's
Leatherman.
That's definitely the werewolf threat nadir of American pop
Oh,
culture,
hey,
where
I'm
it's just
coming
like,
for you. Whoa, watch out.
It's like Colin Farrell in The Batman.
I've got a W on my chest, just up here, because I'm part of the team. Go Wolverines.
So it's interesting that you bring that up, Michael, because part of the team becomes one of the kind of key characteristics then, and it goes from the lone wolf trope of the savage werewolf to pack mentality in a lot of films and things like that. Werewolves run as a pack or as a group, and it's like membership as opposed to any great advantage. And you can control being a werewolf, and it's not very exciting, Michael. So I've watched, in order to explore this a little bit further, I've watched two films this week, Michael.
That's unusual, Ben.
Two whole films. I don't normally watch films,
No,
Michael, as you know.
You don't usually.
Despite having a pop culture podcast.
Yeah.
So the first one I watched, Michael, is Werewolves Within. And Werewolves Within was released in 2020.
2021, I thought.
And it's, was it 2021?
I thought it might have been. Hold on, I'll look it up for you while you talk.
And what I didn't realise, Michael, is it's based on a video game.
Oh.
By Ubisoft, or Ubisoft. I never know how to say that.
Well, maybe Ubisoft, but I don't be.
And, oh, Jesus.
Very
and
good.
then that video game, in turn, is based on the famous kind of group game Werewolf, which is where you and your friends sit in a circle and everybody gets a special card, and you're a villager or a doctor or a werewolf, and it's daytime, nighttime, and the werewolves choose victims, and you have to figure out. So it's a murder mystery, Michael. It's basically Knives Out with the werewolf.
Isn't that one of the best uses of werewolves?
I think so, is the enemy within. And it's the sheer... One of the things that film does very well is that it's sheer savagery. This werewolf isn't messing around, you know what I mean? You're not getting thrown through a wall by this werewolf. You're getting eaten. Like, you're losing your hand, or you're losing your head, or your intestines, or... Like, this werewolf's no joke.
He's coming to get you,
No
Ben.
joke.
He's going to bite bits you off.
He's coming to get you. And one of the best things about this, Michael, is that it's very much a murder mystery, a whodunit. Who is the werewolf? Is there a werewolf? Is it not just someone pretending to be a to be a werewolf? What's going on? And that's the crux of this one, Michael. And it's so entertaining. It's a truly entertaining film. It's got weird humor. It's almost a comedy in its entirety. It's got like weird comedic timing, but it is just Knives Out with a werewolf.
Ben,
Yeah,
it's written and directed by a person called Mishna Wolf.
which is very useful.
Yeah.
Michael.
Do you reckon that sometimes she goes, I'm assuming it's she, do you think that she sometimes goes to meetings of people who directed films or movies or events who has a name that's comically too close to it to be taken seriously? And there's her.
Yes, like Johann Scream.
She's sitting there.
Scream
Yeah,
series.
Johann Scream is there. You've got Mark Webb from The Amazing Spider-Man. You've got Lord Edward Peel from The Potato Famine, and they're all sitting around going, "Oh, what have we got ourselves in for?"
We're a bit on the nose, aren't we?
A bit on the nose. Oop, 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 oop.
And then Lord on the Nose says, I take offense to that.
He's moderating. Benjamin,
Yes.
it's interesting you've said that because I've watched a 2020 film, and it's kind of a modern reinterpretation of the werewolf myth, and it takes it back to the origins of the werewolf, where the werewolf in the film is just this bestial creature that's killing people once a month at full moons. But it's an oddly directed, kind of quirky, independent film with hints of comedy.
It is.
You see what I'm saying, Ben?
Yeah, it is.
It's
weird.
That's
the tone.
That's
people
what
are going
werewolves
for.
are from now. Ben, I watched Wolf of Snow Hollow by Jim Cummins.
Yeah, I enjoyed the fuck out of it, Mick. I watched it too, and I thought it was weird as fuck, but great.
Benjamin, do you know who Jim Cummins is? He is basically Reddit. He's from Reddit.
Is he?
He's from Reddit. He's a Reddit man. And
okay.
he's a Reddit man made good. And I tell you
that's
what,
good.
Ben, I watched this film the other day, and I sat the whole way through it, loving every minute of it, and I thought to myself, if I had seen this when I was 16, this film would have changed the direction of my life.
Yeah.
Because I would have
That's a fair
wanted to be
point.
a film actor, if I had seen that when I was 16.
It's. Do you know what? It's a truly unique film as well. I don't think I've ever seen a werewolf handled in quite the same way. Like, the setup is very similar to what we've seen. You know, young couple, cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
You know, and we think we're in for the standard werewolf story, and then we get Jim Cummings. He's just mental.
He's a very strange man, isn't he? He's a
very strange man.
It really isn't actually about werewolves at all, is it? It's about a very strange man trying to deal with his father, really.
He's unraveling. Yeah, it's about the decline of one man.
There is a little aside right at the beginning of the film, Ben, where Jim Cummings' character, he's the deputy sheriff, and he's at an AA meeting, and he describes how he's having trouble with his ex-wife, and someone off screen lets out the slightest titter, and Jim Cummings just kind of laughs and says, "You've met her," and that just tickled my wickle so much that they had me for the whole rest of the film. He delivered it so beautifully, and it all feels so off the cuff, but it's spot on, excellent.
He plays it with such a wonderful. See, the great thing about the Wolf of Snow Hollow is it is that primal beast. It's the classic. What the fuck do we do with this animal that's clearly stronger than anything going, and it's just so savage? Like it's a real confrontation of savagery, and it's fun to watch the other themes of the werewolf, which is the loss of control and, you know, anger and aggression coming out, you know, the primal beast of man coming out. But we get to see that in Jim Cummings as his life unravels throughout the film, because he's an alcoholic and he's a recovering alcoholic, and his dad just won't step down from a job that's clearly not good for him. And he's not able for, and his ex-wife is the worst.
She's the worst. She's only in one scene,
the
but she's the worst. Benjamin, unfortunately, it also stars Robert Forster. Forster, who you know from playing grizzled detectives and small town sheriffs, and he sadly died shortly afterwards.
Did he?
Yeah.
Is that his last film?
It was his last ever film. He died about 2 weeks after production, I think.
Oh, that's
very
awful.
Very sad, very awful. Adds another wrinkle to it.
That's awful. But anyway, yeah, I mean, so I think one of the things that we can do between these two films, Michael, and we'll go into full spoilers here because it's important for the thing, is the werewolf reveal. We get little glimpses of the werewolf in Wolf of Snow Hollow, but we don't get the werewolf until the final scene in Werewolves Within. And the joy of witnessing the werewolf in Wolf of Snow Hollow versus the disappointment of witnessing the one in Werewolves Within, I cannot describe to you the irritation that I felt towards the werewolf in Werewolves Within. So, at the very beginning of Werewolves Within,
Go on.
Michael,
Go on.
our main character, the new forest ranger,
Mm-hmm.
meets the new postwoman
Yes.
for the town.
Yes.
And it turns out that this new postwoman, who's a love interest and all the other things, is the werewolf.
Oh, classic.
But she's a clever werewolf. She's just a serial killer. She has her full wits in wolf form, and she can transform on a whim whenever she feels like it. And it's so disappointing because the werewolf goes from this big terrifying thing that's taking people out one by one, and to I just hate people and I like to eat them, and I'm a clever werewolf and you're a dope, and she turns into this really weird kind of snarky werewolf thing, and it takes all the threat out of her.
Oh, what a shame.
Because she's just a little lady.
Yeah, you can probably beat her up.
She's just a little lady in fur, and you can grapple with her then all of a sudden. But earlier in the film, she's this quicker than lightning force of nature that can wipe anybody out and catch anybody off guard. And they do so much building of that terror, and then it's just her, and you're like, oh, what a damp squib.
Right. But is she a werewolf, Ben?
She's a werewolf. Yeah,
Oh, good.
she's a serial killer. But when I say she's just a serial killer, that's all she is, Michael, because she's not a beast. She's slightly stronger and slightly faster than your average human, and she can do a jump.
Yeah, she's like Rain from the New Mutants.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect example. But she loses all her terror because she's making weird quips.
Ah, no. What you want is American Werewolf in Paris, Ben.
What you want is American Werewolf in Paris, Michael. Some uncontrollable force that, even if you do figure it out, you're still in the shit, Michael.
Yeah,
because
still a werewolf.
Knowing who the werewolf is, it's still a werewolf.
Yeah, knowing is only half the battle, as G.I. Joe used to say.
Knowing is only... Absolutely, that's definitely the message that we want to send. But that's it, Michael. And you're literally defanging your werewolf, and you'll excuse the awful pun there. But you're defanging your werewolf when they're just a snarky human who eats people. And it's just like, oh, okay. And I think that's where that decline comes in, Michael. And I think we've called, the fundamental question of this episode was, where have all the good wolves gone? And I think that's it. I think werewolves have become a big, gruff,
sexy boy,
sexy symbol. Yeah, and like there's a Netflix series on there's a series on Netflix, and it's called The Order, and it's about
sexy
wolves
werewolves
versus witches.
Oh,
but the wolves are all sexy people that can transform on a whim, and they're all intelligent, and it's just not great.
They're not really werewolves, are they, Ben?
They're not really. They're just big, sexy, fluffy boys.
Ben.
Yeah.
Did you know that the old English word for man was were?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the old English word for woman was whiff.
So, werewolf?
No, werewolf. That's where it comes from. Man wolf. Werewolf.
It's a man wolf.
It's a man wolf. He's a werewolf. Yeah. That's exactly.
Yeah. So what we get, Michael, then in The Wolf of Snow Hollow is a proper werewolf.
Except we don't. What a twist!
Yeah.
But funnily enough,
Really
that twist wasn't at all upsetting.
No, because it's still true to the werewolf
mythology
concept.
Yeah, totally fine with it. A little bit Scooby Doo.
It's a lot Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
it's a lot Scooby Doo.
But totally worth it.
We're okay with it.
Yeah, totally worth it.
We probably won't spoil it, Michael. We probably won't spoil it.
Well,
that's only a minor spoiler.
No, we just have to.
It's still worth watching, though.
Still very much worth watching. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just such an interesting contrast between those two werewolf myths, and I think we've lost that big, scary werewolf, origin and the fundamental thing. And I think it makes movies a bit weaker.
Yeah,
you have kind of sexy werewolves just aren't any good.
Yeah, get out of here, Benicio del Toro.
Get out of here, Benicio. Even he was a proper wolf to a degree, though.
Yeah,
because he was like, he was fucking people up. But like Twilight, Michael.
I've never heard of it.
You've never heard of it?
Never
It's
heard of it,
happened?
never
Okay,
seen
we're
it.
just going to ignore that one.
Never heard of it, never
But
seen it.
sexy werewolves are such a thing. Like Teen Wolf is a series that they've made for the CW, and it's just sexy werewolves.
Everybody's sexy werewolves. Everybody's sexy
Everybody's
werewolves,
sexy werewolves.
or sexy vampires, or sexy witches, or sexy warlocks, or sexy hypocrites, or sexy
The same
mermaids.
Same in True Blood. Bloody, they're all sexy werewolves. They had the
Everyone's
big
sexy
fella,
werewolves. Yeah,
And
John
it was,
Magliano.
Yeah.
Joe Magliano, yeah.
You're just-
Our mate.
Joe Magliano. And you're just like, we've lost something here.
Everybody's
ladies and
all sexy
gentlemen.
werewolves. Ben, do you prefer a werewolf that turns into a big man wolf, or do you prefer a werewolf that turns into a wolf?
I like a big man wolf.
I know you do.
I like a big man. I think one of the cool interpretations of it, I think, came in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Michael, where we got to see Remus Lupin, and he was just this weird, gnarled, very dangerous kind of werewolf thing. And he's not really a traditional werewolf because he's not a big buff boy in humanoid form, and he's not a big wolf. He's a kind of an in-between creature. He's a weird, gnarly, like...
Yeah, well, wolves aren't that big, Ben.
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty interesting.
Makes
you know?
sense.
I like a big wolfy boy. What about yourself,
Yeah,
Michael?
I like a big wolfy boy. I'm always very disappointed when werewolves just turn into a little wolf.
It's no good.
Nah.
They always do it on TV series as well, where it's like a wolf with like amber eyes or something, and it's like, there's the werewolf.
Oh, here he
There
comes.
it is.
Because, Ben, like, one wolf, not much threat to a human. A single wolf.
Not much threat to you, maybe. I don't
No,
know.
well,
I
yeah,
felt
I
you
mean,
will.
a child, a small child, or an elderly person, maybe. But just, it's not in their nature. Wolves don't like head-on confrontation. Wolves are pack hunters and opportunists. They're not... One wolf isn't going to come up and savage you in the middle of the night. One wolf is going to stay away because you're bigger than it.
Yes.
So I like a big spooky werewolf, man. Like, you can't beat American Werewolf in London, Ben. You can't beat it.
You can't.
It's still the best one.
It's still the best one, and the transformation scene is still disturbing and harrowing to this day.
Very gross and horrible.
Very gross and horrible, Michael, but it's so good. And then we got American Werewolf in Paris, which wasn't as good.
Not as good with Juliette Binoche.
Not as good with Juliette Binoche. But anyway, come here to me, Michael. Come here to me.
Right, go on.
Come here to me.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get in touch with this podcast, you could do so in a bunch of different ways.
Could I just go out nude on a moonlit night and go, awoo!
Yeah, and the two of us would probably go
Awoo!
back to you. That's probably what would happen.
That's the
Yeah.
best way to get in touch with us.
Well, actually, the best way to get in touch was get up on that Discord, baby.
Very good.
But if you don't feel like giving yourself into the curse of the moon, Michael, you can probably also head over to Instagram and take a look at us at Sure Look, Sure Listen Podcast. You can find us on the interwebs at www.seomrabeag.com, SEOMRABEAG.com.
You need to start your room in Irish.
Our outro is so messy today.
Yeah, you've done this completely the opposite way than normal, Ben. You've thrown us both
And
off.
then, if you really want to jump on, you can find us on Twitter at ListenSure. And then finally, as we just said, the Discord.
Hop up on it.
The Discord. That's where we need to go. If you've been enjoying our Spooktober, ladies and gentlemen, we'd love you to get in touch with us and let us know how it's going. Let us know your favourite werewolves in pop culture. Which ones do you think exemplify big, scary, primal beast werewolves, and which ones do you think are just Abercrombie and Fitch models
Just
with a
little-
bit of extra body hair?
Little fluffy boys.
Little fluffy boys. If you haven't had enough of Spooktober yet, ladies and gentlemen, you want to hear one more spooky intro, you can join us next week for our final episode in our Spooktober series, which is Reclaiming the Witch. How the witch is being rebranded in modern narratives from evil crone, evil, to, it's just a misunderstood woman. So we're going to have a look at that next week. It's going to be great. We'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.
Oh, that's wolf for see you later.